Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have to say this even though it's really not necessary, but just to make sure that it doesn't left out. Xi Jinping, the leader of China, is not an idiot, right? And he's not an idiot not because he's just a guy who looks good or something, but in order to get in that position with so many sharks around you, you have to be a little bit like a very, very good at certain things. And one of them is prevent and look ahead, plan, assess, and be very accurate in your assessments. Because by being accurate in your assessments, you're able to plan ahead and be hitting the bullseye. Otherwise, if you don't make a good assessment, your actions will miss the target. So therefore, you're gonna get burned. And in China, getting burned means really getting burned. The same in Russia. In these kind of countries, really you can't really redeem yourself. It's very tough. So we have here an article from Reuters, and I think that Xi Jinping is going to say something not so genius for some of us, but I think it's genius for people who don't really did not break that ceiling of understanding, let's put it this way, to see how really things work by looking back and seeing a pattern. That's the easiest way. The same circumstance, the same outcome, then you make a pattern of it. And when you see the same things occurring, the same environment, the same conditions, most likely it's going to be like the other 50 times that occurred. So in this case, China's Xi urges Russia and other countries to work at preventing, and I'm quoting, are the two key words, color revolutions. So what is a color revolution? Color revolution is a spontaneous uprising of the nation. Now, what in reality is cells activated within a country, including people that are already on the payroll, from outside, in order to destabilize and take power, overthrow the government. These are the color revolutions, okay? Now that could be done with money, that could be done with many... So there's many ways to accomplish that. Let's see what Xi Jinping says. Chinese President Xi Jinping on Friday called on Russia and other members of a regional grouping to support each other in preventing foreign powers from instigating color revolutions, popular uprisings that have shaken former communist nations in their countries. Speaking in Uzbekistan at a summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO, a security grouping led by China and Russia, Xi said member countries should support the efforts each other have made to safeguard their own security and development interests. So I'm 100% certain, or 99.9%, that Xi Jinping got some information and possibly some attempts were made and unfolded quietly somewhere, if you know what I mean. Xi did not mention Ukraine, which Russia invaded in February, in what Russia blah 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 blah. That's propaganda, I'm not gonna spew it here. So he invited member countries to sign up to China's Global Security Initiative, a concept he proposed in April, which includes the idea that no country should strengthen its own security at the expense of others. This happened before, remember. And that's a principle that the Russians were, mentioning each and every time towards NATO, the European Union, like, do not strengthen Ukraine at the expense of our security. That's the principle. And the guys say, get out of here, get out of here. But then, so when they say unprovoked, think about this principle, all right? It's like you have the neighbor that you don't get along with the neighbor, and all of a sudden you see the other neighbors arming your neighbor. Don't you feel threatened? You know that you have a problem with the neighbor, or you're not in the best terms, and you know the neighbor is going to be allied with some other neighbors that don't like you, and then don't want to take care of you. So wouldn't you say, guys, stop? Because if you arm my neighbor, there's going to be, I feel threatened about it. You know, you arm that guy so he feels secured that I don't attack him, but you armed him enough, I'm going to feel unsecure about him attacking me. So that's the principle here. China will provide 1.5 billion yuan, which is $214 million worth of grain and other emergency aid to developing countries. Well, they try to form the other club, obviously, and they want to attract. The problem is like this. The problem, the big club's problems, United States club, is that the United States rules this planet, being the most advanced and having the most money, and the banking system was, international banking was in their hands, kind of, right? They had the money to go wherever they want on this planet and bribe whomever. So then they installed whomever over there who would be their man, not their woman, their man, and that man would do their bidding, and regardless if it's Pinochet or it's Shah of Iran or people like this. And then they forget that people don't like them, and they will hold United States accountable, and they will don't like United States, and then the United States will say September 11 attacks, why do they hate us? Well, maybe you should look in 1960s, well, no, 1956 or whenever that was, when Mohandas, the prime minister or whatever of Iran or whatever, was ousted with the CIA and the British. And again, the Shah Reza Pahlavi was brought back over there until 79, until another guy came over, right, from Paris, if you can Khomeini, Ayatollah Khomeini came from Paris. That's how he was, really. And then he came to Iran. That's such a weasel. I mean, anyway, well, if you think about this, if you remember where Ho Chi Minh came, he was allegedly a cook in Paris as well. Remember where Lenin came from? He was in Switzerland. He got free pass. The whole front, the First World War, all front, German train to St. Petersburg, right there in the middle of the whole shit. The Germans allowed everybody open the front and let special train for Mr. Lenin, Vladimir Ilyich Lenin, the non-Russian Lenin. So anyway, back to our situation here. So these guys are knowing what they're talking about, the Chinese, and they have the second club, and the second club, they got the money now. The United States has the money, but now China has money, more money than the United States, because they buy properties here and they buy bonds and whatever they buy here, the same as the Arabs. So they now, China can go in various countries on this planet and outbid United States. United States comes and say, we're going to give you some aid, $200 million, and China comes, oh, we're going to give you $3 billion. That's it. They outbid United States. That happens in many countries in Asia and South America. Look and find. And where they came and said, well, we're going to invest this and that, the Americans came. And then the Chinese said like 3 times more or 4 times more. Done. So they lost that kind of power. So when they say we're going to provide grain and we're going to provide this and that to the developing country, what's that? Our sphere of influence. And the second club is going to be, I think, on China now mainly, and Russia, India, Pakistan is going to come, Iran, Venezuela, Argentina, South Africa, Brazil, all these guys are there, and maybe Hungary one day. All right, well, be careful of those orange revolutions, and I think that's the only way West, these 5-6 countries in the Western Europe and North America would be able to destroy China and Russia by these kind of revolutions. A war, I don't think they can do it, economic or military wars. We'll see, right? Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.